Every time you water, weed, and mow a perfect lawn, you are making an active choice to cultivate a sterile crop. We spend immense energy ensuring absolutely nothing else survives here but grass. Zoom out, and the scale is staggering. In the United States alone, we dedicate 40 million acres to this single plant. It is our largest cultivated crop by a wide margin. Keeping that much grass artificially uniform requires a massive logistical operation. It demands strict weekly mowing schedules, heavy water consumption, and a constant application of synthetic fertilizers and chemical pesticides. By aggressively stripping out every clover and dandelion, we remove the pollen and nectar that local insects rely on for nutrition. The result is a highly controlled aesthetic purchased at the cost of a total ecological dead zone right outside your back door. This shows why it matters. 90% of wild-flowering plants require animal pollination. 75% of global food crops rely on these exact networks. Domestically, honeybees add over $15 billion to U.S. agriculture yearly. Homeowners see these numbers and want to correct the damage. But the standard alternative to the pristine lawn is often pitched as passive neglect, a chaotic, unusable property overrun by weeds. So we have to solve a structural problem. How do we engineer a yard that supports the local ecosystem without sacrificing the safety and utility of our family space? This comparison matrix lets us evaluate property strategies objectively across 3 metrics: maintenance input, human usability, and ecological yield. Let's start with the traditional model. The inputs are severely high: intensive weekly labor, expensive chemical applications, and heavy irrigation. The return on that investment is total aesthetic control. You eliminate invasive weeds, maintain clear pathways, and guarantee high human usability for outdoor activities. But the ecological yield drops to 0. It produces no food for bees and actively increases chemical runoff into the soil. The traditional approach secures maximum human utility, but it demands bankrupting amounts of free time and causes localized environmental damage. Now let's test the extreme opposite strategy, the 100% messy wild yard. Here, your maintenance inputs drop to near 0. You cease mowing completely, stop all chemical treatments, and simply broadcast an 80-20 grass to wildflower seed mix. The ecological payoff is massive. Test plots in Minnesota using this passive method attracted over 50 distinct bee species while building robust, drought-resistant soil. But the functional cost is severe. Tall, unmanaged growth obscures tripping hazards, eliminates safe play areas for kids, and creates immediate friction with local homeowners associations. A fully wild yard operates as an excellent ecological refuge, but functionally, it evicts humans from their own property. The optimal strategy breaks this false binary. The data points directly to a zoned hybrid model, specifically relying on a 70-30 spatial split. You dedicate exactly 30% of your yard strictly to human utility. This is a neat, structured zone built around raised vegetable beds and clear, safe pathways. The remaining 70% is designated as a wild area. Seeded with native clovers and wildflowers, this larger footprint handles the heavy ecological lifting for local insects. This is not passive neglect. It requires strict physical boundary maintenance to ensure the wild flora doesn't invade the neat, usable zone. You trade mindless weekly lawn care for targeted once-a-month interventions. By dividing the space, the 70-30 split offers the highest combined return on your time, your property's usability, and regional biodiversity. This flowchart maps how you can align the hybrid model with your life constraints. For the eco-optimizer, the 70% wild zone is the focus. Prioritizing native flora and bee baths triggers a 5x multiplier in visiting bee species. For the time-poor homeowner, the priority is reclamation. Buy back your weekends by letting the wild zone grow, mowing just once a month and keeping the blade height at 3 to 4 inches. For the family utility planner, anchor your 30% neat zone around food production. This maintains safe play boundaries while teaching children how to responsibly weed, water, and harvest. This approach grounds your property in a long tradition of utilizing land for communal food harvesting, rather than maintaining it purely for aesthetic display. Regardless of your priority, rezoning your property yields better personal and environmental returns than holding on to a monoculture lawn. The critical first step is drawing hard spatial boundaries. Use physical markers like stones, timber, or string to physically delineate the two zones. Next, you plant. In the 30% neat zone, sow high-yield vegetables like heirloom tomatoes right after the last frost. In the wild zone, broadcast an organic seed mix directly over the soil and let it take hold. You must also shift your chemical management. Abandon synthetic pesticides entirely. If pests threaten your neat vegetables, rely on natural controls like neem oil or manual removal. Finally, follow the golden rule of wild management. After the harvest season, leave a few inches of stem on your plants. Those hollow stalks provide essential winter nesting habitats for solitary bees. You don't have to outlaw your lawn entirely to support the ecosystem. By deliberately drawing boundaries and rezoning your space, you reclaim your time, produce your own food, and let nature do the rest of the work.